Here. Jim?
The New Jersey Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Brick Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be posted in the Administration Office Bulletin Board, the official district website, and Channel TV 20, and sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Brick Times, the Star Ledger, and Municipal Clerk's Office.
I need a first and a second.
First.
Stephanie's first.
Second.
John Barton, second.
Whereas the Brick Township Board of Education has been formed pursuant to applicable New Jersey statutes, and whereas the board is charged with the responsibility of performing all acts and doing all things consistent with law and the rules of the State Board of Education necessary for the lawful and proper conduct, equipment, and maintenance of public schools and public school property of the Brick Township School District, and whereas Section 7 of the Open Public Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting of the board in certain circumstances, and whereas the board has determined that circumstances exist for such an executive session, whereas the board has found the action described below to be necessary and proper, now therefore be resolved by the board on October 27, 2016, that the public shall be excluded from the discussion of and action on the executive session herein set forth. The session will be approximately 1 hour, and the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is 4, harassment, intimidation, and bullying reports, special education settlement 8160, personnel matter 6905. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public if and when it is deemed to be in the public interest to do so, and the need for confidentiality is no longer required by the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Canala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Mr. Lavella?
Yes.
How you doing, boss?
I don't feel good. I'm not happy.
Yeah, I know, me neither.
Hey, how are you?
103 right now. In your
What is
shade.
it with these microphones?
Something's going on with those.
Those posters that I bought, I bought 2 copies. There's a DOE department just...
You're over here, big guy.
Oh, man. Shot.
Can you breathe on Nick, Tim? Nick, if he, since you're the attorney, if he has to breathe and he's sick, he's going to breathe on you.
John, switch seats.
Suddenly, the vice president should be right next to the...
You want it? You can have mine. I'm not gonna drink it. I don't mind sharing with you.
Seated. Go ahead, Mayor. I'm going to need a first and a second to come back to a public session.
I will make a motion.
John Barton's the first,
I second that motion.
and Victoria is the second.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Candela?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Canala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Mr. Lavella?
Yes. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Gillinella, presentations for the evening?
I think we're going to start with, I think you have to go through the Brick Memorial High School. Carolyn Kolbas is going to present the report for Brick Memorial High School. Carolyn?
Good evening. I am here to represent Brick Memorial High School. Danielle Dyson is usually here. She is our president. She was not able to come here and she apologizes. I am Caroline Kolbas. I'm the secretary of the Brick Memorial Student Government. And let's get started. On October 14, 2016, 50 volunteers from student government helped organize and run the annual Midstreams Fall Festival. We look forward to our further support with the PTO, administration, and student body of Midstreams Elementary School. Some of these students performed double duty in volunteering their time at the PALS dance that only occurred an hour later. The PALS dance, run by Miss Nicole Panucci, had great turnout and was a huge success in the organization. Moreover, 27 classes and organizations had a blast last week decorating their doors with the fall theme. That was one of the many events held during Spirit Week, which ended with our homecoming game and homecoming dance. A record-breaking 600 students danced the night away in our luau-themed dance held in the gym for the first time in 5 years. The gym was beautifully decorated by more than 40 student government volunteers that Saturday morning. We would like to thank the 15 teachers who volunteered their time to chaperone that night. Currently, the Brick Memorial Key Club is collecting money for UNICEF. UNICEF is an organization that provides humanitarian assistance. The PALS Club is doing their part in humanitarian assistance by holding a makeup drive for women who are battling breast cancer. As a school, we are bringing awareness to breast cancer by wearing pink every Thursday. Administrators, staff, and students have been involved. Tonight, on the other side of town, 10 students are competing for the title of Mr. and Miss Memorial. The contest includes talent, wardrobe, and an interview. The hosts of the event are our own Mr. Stefanelli and Miss Stansberry. On November 7th, 2016, Brick Memorial will hold a school-wide mock presidential election, where students will get to experience the process of democracy. We would like to thank the Key Club and the History Department for organizing the event. Moving on to sports, our Brick Memorial Gymnastics team finished the regular season with a record of 8-3. We are qualified as a team going into the Shore Conference and the NJSIAA State Sectional Championship. We are seeded number 1 for sectionals on November 5th. If they win sectionals, we will be one of the 10 teams that will make it to the team state finals on November 10th. We also have 4 gymnasts who qualify in all 4 events for both shore and sectionals. 1 gymnast qualified for the balance beam. They are also very close to breaking their team record of 109.1, which was set in 2013 at the Shore Conference. They scored their seasonal high record against RBC this season with a 108.525. Moving on to soccer, Leah Scarpelli is a member of our girls soccer team and a representative of our U15 US girls national team. In August, they went to the CONCACAF Championship at ESPN Worldwide World of Sports in Orlando. Leah was named team captain of the All-American team and the U.S. team. In September, Leah was one of our players called up an age group to the U16 U.S. girls national team for a training camp and competed in 3 games overseas in the Netherlands. We look forward to continue our success in Brick Memorial. Thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. And representing Brick High School, Christian Brandow. Christian?
Good evening. I'm Christian Brando. I'm a junior, and I am the secretary of SGA. So recently in the month of October, our most prominent event was our homecoming and our Spirit Week. For homecoming, it was probably the biggest one we've had in years, selling 600 tickets also on October 8th with our red carpet theme. The cheerleaders did an awesome job of setting that up. Another great event for us is the East Gym floor was finally finished, and that is now open. And it's looked the best it's ever looked, so we have to thank you for that because every student appreciates it. Also, on the week of Spirit Week, we had an Italian group come in, and they gave the students during fourth block a taste of the Italian culture with their music, and even that students play instruments and join in on the fun. We also had PSATs on October 19th, which went extremely well and went smoothly. So we are appreciative of all that. And also next week for November 4th, 5th, and 6th, our BTHS Drama Club will be presenting Arsenic and Old Lace. As you can see, our set is right up there. Student tickets will be $8 and adults will be $10, and it's going to be a fun show, so I do recommend seeing it. Moving on to our marching band, they in their most recent competition, they won second in their class in Best Percussion, and we are all proud of them for their great accomplishments. And this Saturday, they will be hosting their annual Music Fest, in which around 6 bands will come and compete, and it's a pretty fun thing to watch and experience. Going on to sports, our boys and girls soccer teams both made states. This is big news for our boys, as in this is the first time they've made states in more than 5 years. So we are all pretty exhilarated for that event. Another prodigious thing is our football team. They are 5-2 currently and will make states. Tomorrow they're traveling to Central to verse them, and we are all supporting them. Also, we are sad to say that our volleyball team just missed out by 1, but they did come pretty close to making short end states, so we are all proud of them. And also, our field hockey team did also make states, so we are having quite a successful fall season for our sports teams. And overall, it has been a great October, and we have our Halloween costume contest coming up, and we look forward to having more events. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you, Christian. Mr. Lamello?
Do you have the exemplary?
We're going to hold on that award. Ms. McNamara, didn't we decide to hold on that award?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we're going to hold on that award because we just notifying the recipients, and we're going to have them come to the November meeting.
Okay, thank you. We'll move forward with approval of the minutes from August. I will need a first and a second. I'll be the first. Anyone?
Yes,
John Barton will be the second. Before we get to approval of the minutes, some board members have raised concerns over the timeliness of getting them out. We've increased the length and volume of the board minutes, and work with Mr. Gianella, we're going to work on getting them out sooner to meet our policies. So that's on me. We had a request to make them lengthier. It increased the volume of work, and there's a lot going on, so we are going to work to get them out, and I just want to let the public know we are aware of that. So that being said, any discussion? Seeing none. Mary?
Ms. Cuccinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
I abstain on both.
Mr. Barton?
yes.
Ms. Pacala?
Yes.
Ms. Wilbraham?
Yes.
Mr. Lamella?
Yes. Committee reports. Tonight, regrettably, we will not have a finance or facilities minutes being read. This is something that the superintendent normally reviews and goes over well in advance, and we had the convention, and we didn't have a chance to review those, so we are not going to move forward with those. I would ask that if we have anything on curriculum, Victoria, do you have anything on curriculum?
Yes, I just have one thing to highlight. We had an update on park. On our district website, the fall block and spring administration of the park has been posted along with helpful sites for parents. Also posted is the testing schedule, and it can be reached through the parental notifications of standardized assessment section.
All right. Human resources. Victoria, you have anything on HR?
Everything was routine this month.
Okay, and Stephanie, anything on policy?
Dennis has an announcement.
Okay, Mr. Philippone?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Woolrip. Just another update. We are still, as I said at the last board meeting, waiting for school boards to get back to us with a template to begin the process of upgrading and all of our policies. I did have an opportunity to speak with a representative at the convention, and they did say they are working on our policies and that they should have something for us by mid-month. So I do apologize again, but once we get them, we'll get to work on them and get it moving. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Philippone. Mr. Janella, the interim superintendent?
Sure, just a few things. October 10th, we had our professional day. I thank the administration and the staff for putting it together. Tried to divide up and make it a little bit different than September's professional day, and I think it was successful. And we thank Mrs. McNamara and the other administrators for work, and their staff for working so hard on it. I had the opportunity last week to attend the Chamber of Commerce event raising funds for scholarships. I think I've mentioned before, the Chamber of Commerce is pretty supportive of the school district, and I was honored to be there, but I did not win the raffle. Yes. Last night, I had an opportunity, Tuesday night, I had an opportunity to attend an affair for Sustainable Schools Award in New Jersey. There was only one school in Ocean County that won an award. Lake Riviera Middle School was honored. The principal and some staff members were there to accept that honor. It was really a great award, a great organization, and I congratulate Dr. Anderson for that. And also, today, you received a text from me, and I think it's pretty well, gets out pretty quickly, that we had invited on a pre-planned event for the drug dogs to come in and sweep this building this morning about 9 o'clock. We were successful. It happened within a period. It didn't disturb education, and I want to thank the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, the Brick Police, the Ocean County Sheriff's Office, the Toms River Police, and the Stafford Police, and whoever else was here, because I think there were a few others that I missed, for bringing the dogs in. There were 8 dogs altogether. They were through the building in about a half hour, and then they were out, and it was pretty successful, and they didn't find anything, which makes us even prouder. So that's the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Curriculum and instruction? No.
Sure. Curriculum instruction, superintendent recommends the items under curriculum instruction for a vote tonight.
Motion?
Thank you.
Second.
Karen made the first, and
Second.
Sharon was the second. Ms. McNamara?
She's okay. I did it.
Oh.
I believe Mr. Gillinella put
Yeah.
it forth. It's
Oh, cool.
items 1 through 6 for approval.
Okay. Any board comment on curriculum and instruction? Seeing none, any public comment on curriculum and instruction? Seeing none, Mary?
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes on 1 through 5, no on number 6.
Ms. Cantilo?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Ms. Wilrell?
Yes.
Mr. Lamella?
Yes. Mr. Edwards, we'll introduce the operations report. I'll need a first and a second.
First.
Stephanie, was that? Stephanie is the first,
I'll second that.
and Victoria is the second.
Thank you. The interim superintendent recommends items 1 through 20.
Any board comment on operations numbers 1 through 20?
Mr. Lamella?
Yep, Sharon, please.
A question on number 14. When we changed brokers, I believe Mrs. Cusinelli asked, can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry. When we changed brokers, I believe Mrs. Cusinelli asked whether all of the services were going to be equal to or better, and I believe Mr. Edwards said yes. Is this agreement with Caremark equal to or better to what we had before we changed brokers?
Mr. Edwards?
What you have in front of you is...
I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear? Is that better?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
There was one drug that was not picked up on the Caremark plan that was part of the Express Scripts plan. And so what this amendment is doing is adding that drug to the plan, and it's a dental drug. So that's the other part of the amendment is to add dental to the plan as well. Both were part of the Express Script plan.
So your answer is that it was not equal to or better?
That drug was not put into the Caremark plan, correct?
Okay, no.
So this is bringing it to that.
The reason why I'm asking, Mr. Edwards, is I was recently at a school event, and I overheard a conversation between two employees that I didn't know were employees, but they were saying how they were having difficulty in getting their prescriptions, that things were not being approved, that they needed prior approval for things that they didn't need prior approval for in the past, and I didn't know what the issues were. I didn't get involved in the conversation, but it was a little disturbing because they were very upset about it. So I just want to make sure when I vote tonight that this is equal to or better to what we had when we negotiated the teachers, the administrators, and the TWU prescription plans.
These two amendments are adding to the plan what was included in the Express Script plan.
And if I could just add, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Edwards, is that the amendment was not, none of the drugs on the amendment were even asked for by staff yet.
That's correct.
They were just picked up as a paper exercise.
Right.
So that's just the issue right now, that those couple of drugs were excluded from the formulary?
Yes.
That's the only issue?
Well, whenever you, let me answer your first question. Do we believe that the Caremark plan is equal to or better? And yes. Now, whenever you change companies, like we changed the company, there are also issues. Transcribing one thing over, different processes. We believe that Express Scripts perhaps was not, and we're still investigating this, was not following the plan exactly as it should, whereas Caremark is. So some people are having issues that they didn't have before, but we believe that the Caremark system is following the agreement as described.
In negotiations that we
Yes.
all voted on?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Karen?
Yes, I just wanted to point out, on number 15, it's the removal of the bids for the ice time, rejecting the bids. And I did want to point out and acknowledge that I heard from many, many parents, as I believe all board members did, and I always like to acknowledge that we are in receipt of those emails, and I think that a lot of very valid points were made about safety and continuing participation by both students and parents at the games, and I hope that that's something that will be taken into consideration when this moves forward from the Finance Committee in the future.
Thank you, Karen.
And also,
Go ahead.
just want, since we were just talking about it, through the chair, if I could just ask Mr. Edwards,
ahead.
I had requested both the old eScripts plan and the current CVS Caremark plan. If you could email those to me, I would appreciate it, because I had some questions about those.
Jim, can you get those for her?
I don't know. I'm working on it.
Okay.
So
All right.
the answer I would give you right now is no. There is no. I'm not really sure. I have to get back with Mrs. Cusinelli and find out exactly what it is she's looking for, because I'm not really sure what the plan means.
As if I were a person on the plan, when they give you the description of everything that's covered, I don't know what the terminology is.
Yeah, so there's no plan document. If that's what you're looking for. There was not one for Express Scripts on the.
How do
script
people
plan.
who are on the plan know what's covered and what's not, if there's nothing written?
It's through their pharmacy. There's no plan document, so I don't know what to tell you.
So people who are on this plan just roll the dice every time? They don't know what their coverage is?
There is no plan document. That's correct.
Okay.
So the answer is no, Mr. Lamella, that there is no such document, but we do have, a schedule that shows people what their copays are, and I could provide that to you, but I think you probably have that as well, because that was given to us in negotiations. So
Well,
that-
I don't have the CVS Caremark one, and, well, just send me what you have, and I'll take it from there, I guess, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. In terms of board comment, I will make one. Karen read my cue card for ice hockey. I received voluminous emails, and a few phone calls for people that still have my number. Thank you. And I just want to reiterate what you said. We hear what you're saying. We know the culture. We know the tradition. We get it. I've been there. And we are going to look into it. Mr. General is working, I believe, diligently with our athletic directors.
Yeah, well, if I can, we're working with the athletic directors, the ice hockey coaches, and the parents' clubs. We have a meeting with the parent groups next week. We're going to try to put this together and balance the parents, what the parents want, and what's fair to the taxpayers of Brick Township.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Seeing no more board comment, any public comment on operations?
Right there.
Ma'am, please.
Some of you know me as Nan Carl, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. Some of you may have been at the last town council meeting, because from now on, my name is Angry Nan Carl. And I am angry about everything that's being handled by people elected to serve us. I'm going to keep this part of it short, although as far as comments on it, I didn't see any copy of any minutes to speak about. I had no frame of reference. I couldn't use my internet from the day of the last council meeting till today, when I finally got my problems cleared up. But as far as this Caremark, CVS Caremark and Express Scripts, there should be a plan administrator, and it is the plan administrator who would have the answers to the questions about what drugs are covered. I happen to be in the federal employee program of CVS Caremark, and I also have a question. Do you have an open season now like the rest of the world does? Like Medicare?
Through the chair to
The
Jim.
federal employee plan? Everybody seems to have it at this time of the year.
Jim, go ahead.
Enrollment? Open enrollment, ma'am?
Yes, open enrollment where
Enrollment in the
you,
month of October, yes.
excuse me?
Yes, we have open enrollment in the month of October, right now.
That indicates to me that the CVS Caremark plan will be changing as of the beginning of the year, because that's part of your enrollment, I would think. So, I happened to have, I mentioned what I'm in. I'm in another organization, too, that's a grassroots organization fighting to keep federal benefits for active and retired employees. And this year, October, we always have a representative from our health provider, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. There are a couple of others. But somebody comes and explains everything that's changing, and I didn't read everything, but there was some blurb about the Express Scripts. I've never been involved in Express Scripts, just the CVS Caremark. And we're not to ask the pharmacist, we're to ask our plan administrator, and go to the plan administrator when we have a problem with those things not being covered or being charged excessive amount. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Seeing no one else?
Cusinelli?
Wait.
You got?
Sorry, hold on. I have a hand.
Good evening to the members of the board and the audience. My name is Andrew Barton. I represent the Ocean Ice Palace. I just want to say, thank you for taking the time to address this with us tonight. I think most people share kind of the same sentiment I do. As an organization, we're very proud to have the township high schools in our facility. Obviously, we're right down the road. We participate in any form or fashion we can to support the Brick Township youth and the community in general. I do understand this year that we have some new competition in the market, being with change of ownerships at local competitors. But I just, I hope everybody understands we're willing to talk to the board, we're willing to talk to the Parents Club, we're willing to talk to the coaches, the athletic directors, whoever it may be, to see if we can work out something to secure this deal. Ultimately, I think if this ice hockey time moves away from us, I think in the long term, it's going to hurt everybody. It'll certainly hurt us in the short term. It'll probably hurt us in the long term. Outside of that, I don't think it's good for the township. I don't think it's good for the Board of Education, because I think ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to end up cutting services that the town is able to offer. And outside of ice hockey for the high school, we do a tremendous amount of fundraisers. We do public skates throughout the weekends, which draw in a lot of kids, hopefully keeping them off the streets and doing something active in sports and not doing anything else. So that being said, I just want to make my appearance known, let you guys know that I'm here. I appreciate you speaking about it, and look forward to dealing with you in the future. Thank you.
sir. I just don't know if she's getting on. Okay. Mary?
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Cantilla?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
I'm going to abstain on regular checks number 5 and item 17-04981. Yes to everything else.
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Mr. Lamella?
Yes. With regard to Human Resources, Mary introduced HR, and I need a first and a second.
I'll make it first.
John Barton is the first.
I second.
Victoria is the second. Megan?
The interim superintendent recommends that the board approve the following items listed 1 through 34.
Any board comment on Human Resources? Do you have some, Karen?
Yes, I had
Please, go ahead.
questions.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
On number 6 and 7. Number 6 is the job description, which part of it says, arrange for supervision for all home events. However, I was a little confused because if we're paying a site supervisor, if we're arranging for supervision, doesn't that mean we're also paying somebody to be there physically? Because I noticed that one of the people in number 7 is actually a coach, so the person can't be in 2 places at once.
Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Gilnell.
The athletic coordinator is responsible for covering the home events. That individual who's a coach, the administrator said they would cover the event if she could not, if it had a conflict.
So there will be no additional cost, because actually the wording of the job description says arrange for supervision, not be the supervision. That's what was confusing.
That person, whoever's the coordinator, accepts the responsibility that they're the supervisor for home events.
Okay, so when there's a sporting event for which she must be coaching, there will be an administrator covering that time slot
Yes,
at no cost?
at no additional cost, no.
Okay, thank you. And in number 9, we had some new hires, and I was just curious, how many applicants did we have for the middle school math and science, and how many applicants did we have for the middle school BSI?
Megan, would you know?
Roughly?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find out.
Do you have a rough idea? And also in number 23, I just had a question why 2 of them were for fall sports when the fall season is almost over. Should that be a ratification?
We were told by the athletic director they have not been on the field, that they would be on the field for the rest of the year.
So these people have not been working yet. So
That's
how
what we
much
were
more
told.
time is left in the season? About a week?
I think it's really the championship seasons now, so they'll be there for the championships.
Okay. And have all of the people listed in number 23 cleared fingerprinting and have sub-certificates as required by law?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, and Megan will get you...
Megan was going to just get me
Yeah,
that information.
Megan, if you don't have it at your fingertips, you can get it to her after the meeting. All right?
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments on HR? Any public comment on human resources? Seeing no one. Mary?
I'm sorry, can I just wait a minute? Can you come back to me last, if she's looking for that, please? Thank you.
Ms. Cantilla?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
I'm going to ask you to come back to me, please.
Ms. Scala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Mr. Lamella?
Yes.
Ms. Cantilla? I'm sorry.
I got you doing it now, too. Yes.
And Mr. Barton, abstain on number 7, and I'd like to tell everybody why. I am right now currently an elected board member for the middle school's athletic league, and I will be working closely with the 2 coordinators. Matter of fact, we have a meeting tomorrow morning for winter schedule, and November the 2nd, we're lucky enough to have, it looks like she's been approved already too. Mrs. Colleen, Mary Colleen, is going to run an all-star game for field hockey over at the Vets Middle School complex under the lights. So if you have time to come out and watch your Ocean County League participate in a field hockey all-star game, I invite you to do that. It's usually a terrific night. So yes to everything except abstain on number 7.
Thank you. Before we move on to closing public comment and board comment, I had the opportunity to go to school boards, and as many of you know, I'm a novice up here. I make no bones about it, I'm learning. And I had an opportunity to attend several different workshops on organizations, and although I've run many meetings, the Board of Ed is new to me. So I have this long document with a lot of whereofs and thereases, and it's about decorum and respect. So with that in mind, when we get up for public comment, when the board gives their closing comments, I am asking everyone, from the public and the board alike, to afford the people our opportunities to speak, not to speak over everyone, and please just be respectful. Please. With that being said, is there anybody that would like to come up for public comment? Sir, ma'am, in either or?
John Hyphantis, 37 North Sailors Quay Drive, also the chairman for the Sustainable Brick, a.k.a. the Green Team. Round numbers, there are about 550 municipalities in New Jersey. There are 2 levels of sustainability, bronze and silver. About 300 towns have bronze, and less than 50 have silver. We are one of them. And I thank the town for backing us up on that. I wasn't here at the last meeting. Do we have approval to use this facility for our next Green Fair, which is Earth Day, April 22nd, 2017?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hyphantis, have you put in the request to use it?
Yes.
I would have to check and see if it's on tonight's agenda. I don't know when you put it in.
Okay.
Let's
as
put it
far
this
as
way, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't, but let me check.
Well, we had asked for the gym and the cafeteria because we're going to grow this year. We had 6 schools last year. I think we'll have all the schools this year, so we'll need more space. And I hope you all come out. I know it's kind of early for April, but all come out. The students are a wonder to watch and enjoy. They're really getting into it. And since we are on Earth Day this year, that's going to be our theme. So, onward and upward for other schools. Dr. Anderson did a terrific job, and I hope we can build on that for other schools as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hyphantis, thank you so much for the work that you've done with the Sustainable Brick. You have put in so many hours, and I just want to say thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's Angry Nan again, and it's been a long time since I was a regular at these meetings. I see somebody smiling at me. That's a good indication. Thank you. But I want to clarify that I am here at the right moment, that this is anything that I, as a resident, taxpayer, older, angry woman, wants to get off her chest about the going on with the Brick School Board.
Yes.
This is not a specific topic.
Yes.
Okay, it happened today. I mentioned I had no internet for a week. I was really suffering withdrawal, and today I got it back, and one of the first things that I brought up was from the brick patch, and it was a video of the last meeting. I have never seen anything so disrespectful, so divisive. I came here, I moved to Brick. I moved from the great state of Brooklyn. Don't think New York has anything to do with it. Forget about it. And I moved into my home, literally, in January 1966. I immediately became involved in working at the election polls. First one would have been a school board. Next one, primary. The general election. And ever since then. And there was always a little tension between the Ds and the Rs. And the power shifted through the years, but I've never seen such power-crazy business and partisanship. Most of all, I have asked many, many times over the years, from when we had an entirely Republican town council to now that we have an entirely Democratic town council, that they respect us, the citizens who pay the wages, and have our remarks the very last thing that happens, so that anything the board says at all, we have an opportunity to respond to. I don't think you have any type of rules of order in written format for your meetings. I have brought here for people, number one is the New Jersey School Board, Open Public Meetings Act and Technology. This one happens to be, I could only grab a few things off my computer. I have lots of things. So I have that, and it basically tells you how you should run it, and about doing conference when you can't get a quorum, or whether that's good, and email. I also I mentioned that I'm involved in an organization that has been working for protecting the benefits of retired, and now it's active and retired federal employees. And early, back before the middle of the 2000s, the organization is called NARF, National Association of Active and Retired Federal Employees. And I was able to attend some workshops that the entire Region 2 district, which is the East Coast, had given. And one of the 3 workshops I picked was Parliamentary Services, and it is by a professional parliamentarian, John D. Stackpole. I am giving you the notes he gave to us for how you should do it. I'll also give you my annotated notes, which is really compressed his. Oh, yeah, no, the Open Public Meetings Act, that is the New Jersey School Boards, but now here I forgot that I also have in very fine print, this was an executive order by Governor John Corzine, and it talks about running meetings and how you should do it. Now, yesterday, I belonged to another organization, which is national, Community Association Institute. And we had 3 educational classes. There was a wonderful man, Craig Huntington, that talked about running a 1-hour meeting, but that's not for a school board or a big entity. It's for homeowner association boards. And he was excellent. First, before I go on to his, I would suggest that perhaps you might want to get a hold of Mr. Stackpole, see if he would be willing to come here, and maybe all of you get together, the Brick Township Council, including maybe some wannabes, your board, the Brick MUA, and let him tell you how to do it. He does an excellent job with role-playing. By the way, you don't ask for a first. The correct terminology is you move the item. You don't vote on minutes. It's all in his notes. They are not actionable. You can't take action on it. You ask, are there any questions or comments? And if somebody has a comment that causes you to make a slight change, then somebody says that they move to accept those minutes as corrected for filing. That's all you're going to do with them, nothing else. You vote on actionable items. So I will leave this, so wait a minute. Craig Huntington, he was excellent. He would be worth your while, but I don't know where he is these days, other than I was in the conference center up in Raritan Center up there, where we have it every year. Let me just check what I noted down. Oh, what I saw was on the last meeting, somebody, I don't know who it was, I don't know that person, made a comment. And another board member wanted to rebut it. Now, yes, that board member should have been told, you'll get the floor when she finishes. The first one happened to be two females. When she finishes. But the person who had made the original comment says, there's no need to rebut. I'm sorry to say that tells me that person doesn't know what the meaning of rebut is. Rebut means you have not accurately stated the facts as far as I understand them. And you can say the person doesn't have something to rebut. That was totally incorrect. Now, what I'd like to do is give these things that I went to the effort of printing out to somebody who can disperse it to all of the board members, and maybe you'll have a meeting and discuss. And another thing from going to big conferences of a couple of thousand people, and this is much smaller, I suggest you put rules of order in writing, and they should be in writing, available to reference at every meeting. In the big conferences, which is the North one, they adopt the rules of order, and there are people who will say that you have this, that, and the other thing, and it's done by a parliamentarian, but somebody in the audience takes it differently, and they make a correction, and when they get it the way they want it, for the decorum of the meeting, they adopt those rules of order. So is there somebody who will distribute this to the people?
I'll be happy to take it.
On this one about the organization that he's involved in. It's in another
You want
state.
these back?
No, I have everything on my computer.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing no one, I'm going to exit the evening on board comment. I will start with Karen, please.
Oh, you started with me last time. You could.
I'm starting with you again. Thank you.
Oh, so I have to,
You are going.
now or never?
Go for it.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Haifantis for all the work that he's done with Sustainable Schools. Our volunteers are invaluable to the district, whether it's with athletics or with things like that. We have a lot of wonderful people in our community who volunteer, and Mr. Hyphantis really has dedicated himself to the green projects. And I'll also put in a plug for the Green Fair in April. I know it's far in advance, but everybody mark your calendars. It's on Earth Day. It is a wonderful event, and Mr. Hyphantis does a great job with that, too. Also, I would like to thank Mrs. Call for her comments, because I know that she truly is an expert when it comes to Robert's rules, and I think everybody could benefit from her knowledge. And we, Mrs. Call, we do, as a board, and as per policy, we do run according to Robert's rules. And you commented about when there was board comment and when there was public comment, and I do want to let you know that up until this past January, we did do it the way that you spoke about, okay? But that did change in January. I don't know who made that decision. I would, maybe perhaps Mr. Lamella, as the new president, decided to switch it, but up until that time, it was, well, you're going to get a lot of emails with everybody questioning Robert's rules now, so you volunteered yourself as the source.
Thank you. I understand, and we know Robert's rules. I said I'm a novice and I'm learning. It also says somebody shouldn't shout out from the audience. So again, I'm learning. I hear the proper verbiage. Did the best I could at the end of the last meeting. So Karen, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I was very disappointed, I'll say, to learn that a letter was given to the board secretary to distribute to all the members of the board, and I was very upset that I did not receive that letter, and I don't know if I was the only one or if nobody on the board. Mr. Lamella, do you know if I was the only one that didn't receive it?
Tom, I didn't receive a letter, Superintendent. I had a discussion, so.
Mr. Edwards, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we spoke to the author of that letter, he had agreed that he did not want it distributed to the board?
That's correct.
I'm sorry, you said that you spoke with him and he said he did not want it distributed to the
He sent
board?
the letter to the board. Mr. Edwards and I had a discussion with him, and on that phone call, he decided that we should just speak to the Facilities Committee and not distribute it to the board.
Okay, because how I learned about it was on Tuesday, I was down at the school board's convention also, and I happened to run into the author of the letter who asked me about the letter, and I had no idea about what he was speaking.
I'll be glad to reach out to him and correct his memory, but that's what he told both of us.
Okay, well, and then I saw it published in the paper, and I saw the date of it was back in August, and I'm just, it makes me wonder, you know, what else do I not receive? There was a lot of important information about a lot of things that have been investigated the past few months, and it's very disturbing to me that that was not distributed to the board. And I think based on a lot of that information, there are several people who owe both that firm and some of our volunteers an apology. And I just want to caution everybody on the board in particular that you have an obligation to the public to give accurate information and to follow the code of ethics. And we're all very mindful about economics and trying to get the most for our students with the dollars we have. Some of us, like myself, prefer not to raise taxes, but the bottom line is we need to be fiscally conservative, and when things are said and done and ethics violations occur, ultimately it just leads to, close your ears, Mr. Montenegro, no offense, but it leads to more and more legal fees. And certainly I can think of many, many things that our kids in this district need that money for, and not to have it spent on legal fees. So I would just caution everybody to please check your facts, familiarize yourself with the Code of Ethics, and to do your homework. And this is a very, very important responsibility we have as board members. And we owe it to our kids, we owe it to our community, we owe it to our taxpayers to take this charge very, very seriously.
Thank you. George is out. John?
Thank you, Mr. Lamella. Mr. Ifantis came up, and I believe Mr. Gianella also mentioned the Green Schools Award. Lake Riviera, and thank you, Mr. Ifantis, for all that you do, too. The Green Schools Award came out of Lake Riviera, and Lake Riviera...
John, can you just lean a little closer? They can't hear that on the table.
I don't think this one's it. The Green Schools Award was presented to Lake Riviera, and I noticed this week also, Lake Riviera has been pretty busy working on the morale of the students. They do an awesome lip-syncing video every year, but this year they added a 50-year dedication to the school's history. And I think everybody in the audience owes Dr. Anderson and Lake Riviera School a round of applause because of the award that they've received. Thank you. And also, we have new personnel hired this evening, and the talent that we have here, not only is it meant to be for us and for our new personnel, it's a good fit. I'm very proud to say that these people are working in our schools for us, and I'd like to thank them and their families as well for all the time and dedication and just the heartfelt sincerity that comes from these employees. And welcome aboard, and thank you for giving back to the community that you belong to.
Thanks, John. Sharon?
We going out of order again?
Maybe we're going alphabetical.
No, I always went...
Stephanie and...
I'm good.
No, I always go to your end. I go there, to you, then her, then her.
Oh, okay. All right. I'd like to welcome our new hires to the district. Welcome to the Brick family. I'd also like to wish good luck to our retirees and thank you for your years of service. Last but not least, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Panuska for becoming our athletic director. It is a great, great day in Brick when you can have a young man grow up in this town and watch his athletic heroes every day. And he's told me many stories about watching different people older than he play different sports and how well he looked up to them. To become a teacher in his district, in his hometown, to then becoming a vice principal and mentor in his hometown, and a coach, coached many, many, many children in this district, to now being our athletic director. And I just want to tell you congratulations, and you make us proud.
Thank you. All right, Stephanie, I know you didn't have anything, so Victoria, please.
I just want to thank our interim superintendent, Mr. Gianella, for presenting another wonderful round of new hires. You know, it says in our Code of Ethics that we will vote for and appoint the best qualified personnel available by the suggestion of our superintendent. And I just think you're doing a great job to help support the teachers that exist in the district and the school children in the district, and I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, and now on to me. I'd like to thank everyone. Mr. Panuska, I've had the luxury of knowing you as an administrator and a friend, and I couldn't be prouder, and this district should be very proud, as it should be of the gentleman you sit next to and what you can do for these kids, because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking at. Karen, I thank you for your comments. I am learning Robert's rules. In terms of what was written for facilities meetings, I'm not here to air dirty laundry, but I had spoken to that gentleman who authored that letter as well in a meeting, and I didn't know it was that gentleman, probably 2 or 3 weeks after my hire. That being said, I just want to move this district forward. I hope to do it in the best professional manner I can. And I hope that the decisions we make are sound and board-based as we move forward. And that we all come together and work together. That being said, I need to lead by example, and I want to thank everyone. And that's it. So, our next meeting is December 10, or the NJEA convention is November 10 and 11. Our regular meeting, I think it's early, Tom, because of Thanksgiving, is November 17th at 7 p.m. here. So with that, I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion?
Who was the motion? Karen was the motion?
Second.
Who was Stephanie? Second? Stephanie was the second?
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. McCullough?
Yes.
Ms. Woolrath?
Yes.
Mr. Lamella?
Yes.
5 minutes of 8.